Hi guys, it's SB and today we're doing a straight shootout comparison test between the brand new Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra and the iPhone 11 Pro Max. Two huge hitters in the smartphone game, but the question is which one is right for you? So without further ado, let's get straight to it. So firstly, this is the second Galaxy S20 Ultra review unit that I've received from Samsung, and that's because this device has already had a software update, the March the 1st one, and the update hadn't yet pushed to the previous review unit, so they sent me another one with the updated software. So the question you may be asking is, well, what's new with the brand new update? And they don't go into a great amount of detail, it just says improvements to camera and security. Now, my first impressions of the Ultra camera were were a mixed bag. So let's start with camera, see if a few of those issues have been ironed out and compare it out and about with the iPhone 11 Pro Max. Right, so this is a video test starting with the front-facing camera on both 1080p at 30 frames a second. We're going to start with, I want you to pay close attention to the dynamic range. So is the sky blown out, overexposed, or is it keeping good detail? Equally, are the shadows being crushed, or is there good detail there as well? Image quality and things like audio and stabilization. So like I said, this is 1080p at 30 frames a second. Right, so this is also 1080p, but we're now walking with 60 frames a second. So it should be a little bit smoother in terms of motion. Right, so this is now 4K for the first time. This is 4K at 30 frames a second. Again, how are we doing with the sky? It's quite hazy, to be honest, with the sunshine out there. If we flip over there, you might see a bit more detail. That's better with the clouds there. So let me know how that looks, and also the shadows. Looking like the dynamic range is slightly better on the iPhone, if I'm being completely honest at the moment, but it's hard to see with the glare. And now finally, this is 4K at 60 frames a second. So again, it should be smoother, but let me know color temperature wise what we're dealing with. Looks warmer on the iPhone, cooler on the Ultra. And again, dynamic range, audio, stabilization. Let me know what you think, which is better, in the comment section below. And finally, one advantage of the Ultra is the fact that we have live focus video. So we've got the nice bokeh effect, the depth of field, the blurred background, whatever you want to call it. And this is software based. So when it works, it does work really, really well, but you don't unfortunately get things like stabilization and stuff like that. So something you don't get on the iPhone though. Now, if we flip to the rear camera, this is 1080p at 30 frames a second. Right, so this is also 1080p, but we're now walking with 60 frames a second. Right, so this is now 4K for the first time. This is 4K at 30 frames a second. And now finally, this is 4K at 60 frames a second. So looking at this early footage, it does appear that the stabilization is slightly better on the iPhone across the board, especially considering at 60 frames per second, it's still pretty good. The Ultra does have a super steady mode, which is great for stabilization, but it's only available in 1080p. Now, one advantage of the Ultra is you can now record in ridiculous 8K. Although even after the software update, I'm still not massively convinced due to the large crop, and it still looks a little bit jittery, and features like tracking autofocus and stabilization just simply aren't available. But still, the resolution is insane, and some people will want to use it, of course, and it simply isn't an option on the iPhone. And there's also a very interesting mode called single take. It lets users capture a scene in a series of photos and videos for about 10 to 15 seconds, and then it processes all of them and picks out the best of those and shows you in an end collection. It can be brilliant to capture moments to remember forever. And it's a great way to share more of what's going on in any given scene across all of your social media platforms. Now, I personally think as good as the video capabilities on the Ultra are, for stabilization, audio and dynamic range, I still feel that the iPhone is video champ. But that's just me. Let me know in the comments what you think about what you've seen so far. Moving on to pictures, and here we'll start with default photo mode, and we have a selection of different shots. The iPhone, as expected, has a warmer color temperature, and this will be a personal style preference for sure. The dynamic range is good on both, however, even after the March update for the Ultra, the iPhone seems to perform better here. Now, don't get me wrong, this is a very hard test shooting into the sun, with some really bright areas and lots of dark spots too. But that is the idea of these tests. We like to see exactly what the HDR is made of. There definitely appears to be more details in the shadows on the iPhone, and this seems to be pretty consistent across the 3 different lenses. The processing algorithm of the Ultra tends to produce slightly smoother, softer looking photos photos as well, so standard photos can often appear slightly sharper on the iPhone. However, the Ultra of course has a big weapon in its armory in the form of the 108 megapixel sensor. You can select this from within the camera app, and if you don't mind the large file sizes, the detail you can get absolutely obliterates what you can get with the iPhone. Both ultra-wide lenses are very impressive. You get a slightly wider 123-degree shot on the Samsung device compared to the 120 on the iPhone. So you can get slightly more in your shot in the Ultra. Again, that would come down to personal preference. I don't really see a massive difference between the two. And the final main lens in the setup is of course the zoom. 2x optical on the iPhone and 5x on the Ultra, so you can zoom in a lot further on the Ultra without losing any clarity. That's not all though. With the iPhone, you can digitally zoom up to 10 times, whereas on the Ultra, it's 100 times. Crazy. Now, before you get all giddy on this, the quality of the image in the zoom is not great, but it is amazing that you can see anything at all from that ridiculously far away. But the real magic for me on the Ultra is the 10 times hybrid zoom. So comparing the two phones at 10 times zoom, it's chalk and cheese in terms of image sharpness and detail. Now, the 4th time of flight sensor on the Ultra is there to help with depth perception, although to be honest, neither phone are hugely impressive at this. Yes, you can get some great portrait shots with them, blurring the background whilst having really nice detail in the focal point, but said focus can be inconsistent at times. Neither have the point and shoot capabilities of the Pixel phones, and the edge detection on both is average at best. You can see in some of these examples, edges of objects that should be in focus are blurred out, and vice versa. Often if there are gaps with that focal point object, the area of course in that gap should be blurred because it's in the background, but often it's really sharp because the phone is detecting that anything inside of the edges of that focal object should be in focus. In testing, the iPhone has appeared worse at this. If it's human faces and pets, etc., the iPhone does tend to do an okay job at edge detection, but if it's anything outside of that, it's not great at all, and sometimes it makes me feel like I'm having a hernia. Bit of an exaggeration, but you get the idea. In terms of selfies, the front cameras on both again do a decent job, although again by default the iPhone tends to produce a slightly sharper image to the softer, smoother Ultra. But what I do like on the Ultra is the fact that you can actually change the color temperature. Pre-taking your shot, you can go from cool to normal to warm, whereas on the iPhone it is just the standard Apple color temperature, which I think is still ridiculously far too warm. I really wish Apple allowed you to change that before you take your shot. Let me know what you think of these night mode shots. The Ultra wins it for me. Overall, both have really exceptional cameras for smartphone photography, and it's a really hard one to judge because this area is incredibly subjective. They both excel in different areas, but for me personally, just to the sheer versatility of the device, I would have to sway for photography to the Ultra. But again, let me know what you think in the comments. In terms of battery, we have to split this into two parts: battery drain and charging speeds. Now, in terms of drain, I've been getting on average this week just over 7 hours of screen on time on the Ultra, which is really pretty decent to be honest. But since launch with the iPhone 11 Pro Max, I've been averaging well over 8 hours of screen on time. And I said it on launch, and I'll say it again, the iPhone 11 Pro Max is a battery monster. What Apple have been able to achieve here is really, really impressive. In terms of charging speeds, the Ultra tends to go from fully flat to 100% capacity in just over 1 hour, whereas with the 11 Pro Max, it's between 1.5 hours and 2 hours. So to effectively judge the best device for battery consumption for you, it would depend on what sort of lifestyle you lead. Are you a charge at night sort of person and then take your phone out, don't look back, don't charge it when you're out and just need the longest possible battery life possible, knowing that if you do need to charge it for whatever reason, it's going to take a little bit longer? Or are you someone that wants a phone that's pretty much going to get you through the day but not quite as much, knowing that if you do need a pick-me-up juice charge, it's going to be pretty easy for you. 10-15 minutes you're going to get a decent amount of juice. How many times do you want to say juice? Apple juice if you're asking. The Ultra will be a lot more convenient for that type of lifestyle. Side note, Samsung pun intended, the Ultra that I have is running with the Exynos 990 chip, which notoriously will probably not give you quite as good battery as the Snapdragon 865 variant. So if you're from the US, for example, you may get better battery life on your Ultra than I would, for example. Displays are brilliant on both, but I find the punch hole cutout more eye-pleasing than the notch, and the 120Hz refresh and 240Hz touch sampling rates on the Ultra have absolutely spoiled me. Going from the Ultra to the 60Hz of the Pro Max has kind of left me feeling like I'm going from liquid gold to Velcro. Bit harsh on the iPhone, but it's the only simile I could think of. Now, if we're talking a specs numbers game, there is only one winner. With up to 16GB of RAM and a micro SD card slot for 1TB expansion of storage on the Ultra, the iPhone just can't compete in these areas. But as you will also know, numbers can only ever tell half of the story, because the optimization of software combined with the insanely powerful Apple A13 Bionic chip means the iPhone is every bit as quick and actually still outperforms the Ultra on certain benchmark results. Both devices are surrounded by great ecosystems: AirPods, Galaxy Buds, Apple Watch, Galaxy Watch, etc. So really the deciding factor in this department is, are you iOS or are you Android? Are you Team Galaxy or are you Team Tim? I'm a big fan of both devices for different reasons. I will continue to use the iPhone for all of my social media, for example, but I am going to be switching my Android SIM from the OnePlus 7T Pro McLaren Edition into the Galaxy S20 Ultra, and I'm going to use it for the foreseeable future and see how I get on. If I've missed anything, and I probably have, let's be honest, let me know in the comments. I'll try my best to answer your queries. Like and share if you enjoyed the video and found it helpful. Subscribe and hit the notification bell if you're new to the channel and love everything tech, breaking tech news, unboxings, reviews. I love you and leave you. I'll see you in the next one. CSBOT, peace out.